what do you want to spend your money on? How do you want your learning to be structured? I simply
How
cannot.
did you just hit the intro before I get murdered?
If you get murdered during this intro, I'm done. Defeat the Hun.
We're in ahead.
I'm
telling you, there's something downstairs. There's something down there, and I need to go investigate it.
No, you don't.
It's my house. What am I supposed to do?
Not investigate.
So it's just supposed to just come up here and kill me while I'm on the podcast.
First of all, when I tell you, you heard nothing.
But I did. Oh man, this is a hell of a start of an episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Real Shenanigans. We are your hosts, Jenerro and Phoebe. We'll be talking all things entertainment, news, interesting topics, and just a bunch of real shenanigans. And the real shenanigan that's going on right now is I hear a sound
I swear to God,
because Phoebe won't let me go investigate before we start the show.
I keep seeing the shadow, and I'm so paranoid right now because
she's selfish. She wanted me to do the show before I investigated. So
I don't want you to investigate.
Hey, look.
You know how you always die in a horror movie? You go and investigate.
Look. When there's only one black person in the house, you gotta go investigate to figure it out.
I can't.
I have weapons. It's fine.
I don't. Where are your? Never mind. No.
It's fine.
No.
Just know if I cut out halfway through this episode, we know what happened.
I'm so done with you right now. Is your door locked? Your door locked?
My door is always locked. I think it's locked. I'm pretty sure it's locked. Let me check my security cameras. I think we're good. Anyways, what are we talking about today, Phoebe?
We are talking about school.
School. Great. Hey, guys.
Oh, gosh. Jesus.
No,
we have opinions.
What about school? What exactly about school?
Well, listen. I hear a lot of people ask whether or not they should go to, like, in our industry, whether or not you should go to school. Does it make sense to go to school? But I have several answers to this as someone who went to school and got 2 degrees.
Did you make a bullet point list?
No, because no.
No, it's interesting because I know we've had this discussion a couple of times, and after, obviously, I've gone and got my master's degree in a whole different industry, but now once I've started acting and kind of want to get into this, we've talked about, is it worth getting a arts degree from a college or from a program or school or something like that, a film program? I think there are benefits always to getting school, but then there's always benefits of on-the-job training as well. And since you have gone to an actual acting program, tell us, what did you feel like you took away from it? And I can talk about my experience of growing in my industry without having it, and then we can see what we can compare and contrast.
Yeah. So just to answer the question that I always get, should I go to school? I can't answer that for you. That's a very, very personal thing you have to decide on. I will tell you, if you go to school, you go there with your head in the game and focused, you will take away a lot of very valuable things, and you will make a lot of very valuable connections. And if you are someone who thrives on structure, this industry can be very structured, but when you are starting out, it is very throw things and see what sticks. And school is a very structured version of that. So that may be helpful to you. It is also
throw spaghetti at the wall.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it really is. It is also very much so. It's not real life. I have
Dive
an
into that. What do you mean by it's not real life?
It's not.
In like just the normal college life of it's not real life, or do
No,
you
it's
feel
like
like it's more
they can only give you structured scenarios of what's going to happen to you
mm,
on stage or on a set. And it's very good for learning.
mhm,
I will never, I learned a lot in both of my degrees. I have an
mhm,
undergrad degree in theater, and I have a master's degree in film.
mm,
I thrive on structure, and I can tell you, I came out of my master's SAG eligible and with a full reel, and it is how I got my agent.
oh, nice. I didn't know that.
So, yeah. So it benefited me. And so I will never say don't do that. Don't like you, but I will never tell you you have to go to school. If you are
Mm,
someone who can 100% focus and laser in and not be deterred by these so many things that are can and will go wrong when you're trying to make connections and when you're trying to get on your first sets and when you're trying to, do
mhm.
what you have to do, then yeah, you don't have to go to school. You don't have to. I have debt. I have school debt because of my degrees, and I have a lot of
Well,
it. But I
so
did learn. What I will tell you is your degree is not going to get you a job.
that
Not
that's
on
everywhere, right?
set, not on set, and it may make you connections, but your degree is not going to get you a job like it will somewhere else,
I
unless
think
you want to go into teaching or something like that.
Yeah, I think just like with anything, right? I think it is all about the connections that you make, which could be good, bad, other, right?
Mhm,
Um, where either from other industry professionals that may have come to talk to the program, or your professors, or just other colleagues that you're working with that may have gone and done other things. Because my biggest thing that I've always thought about with school is obviously, got my master's degree in international sports management. I've worked in the NFL. I've done all these things where now going back to school to me, I want to learn certain things, but going back to school to me, yeah, like biggest thing, do I want to pay more money to go to school? I don't want to take out no more loans. But two,
mhm,
the biggest curiosity factor is immersing myself in straight acting, right? And I know there's other ways to do that, but obviously the structure that I kind of have right now where I go to acting class twice a week. And if we want to count improv rehearsals, that's 3 times a week that I'm doing some things, right?
mhm,
Outside of improv, yes, I'm in class. I may see other people work and then I get to go up and do my performance, whatever. But in class, truthfully, you're maybe working maybe 15 to 20 minutes. So, not saying that doesn't mean anything, but I do wonder um, at what other skill, and primarily in these types of structured classes for acting classes, at least here in Houston that I've experienced, it's
mhm,
more or less you're doing scene work, right? Like I very much want to learn, I hear people talking about doing movement classes, doing vocal classes, just all these other different things that aren't necessarily just reciting lines off the script that
yep,
interests me. And maybe I just haven't found them. Maybe I just haven't found. Maybe they just don't exist here in Houston. But they are interesting to me, and that's probably part of one of the reasons why I wanted to do the school. I looked at trying. I applied for the Yale program. I did not get in. I did the audition, but yeah, they didn't even call me for a callback. I was like, oh, it was funny enough. I really thought I killed that thing. I was like, yeah, this group, we're not gonna have any callbacks. I was like, oh well, it's humbling there,
yeah.
but
I mean,
um,
yeah,
but
school
but
will humble
but
you.
um, I don't know. There's something alluring to that
And I
fact
think that's what I was
to
saying
me
about
personally.
structure, right? So
Mhm.
I'll just talk about my master's program because that's the most recent and the most fresh in my head. And because it was solely like when you're getting an undergrad degree, you are focused on your other classes, so your maths, your sciences, your Englishes, your all that stuff. When you are focused on a master's degree, it is strictly for
Mm-hmm.
what you are going in there for. So
Mm-hmm.
I will give my master's program this, because I have a lot of thoughts about my master's program, but I will give it this, right? I was in an accelerated program. So I did a 2-year program in 15 months. So when I
Oh.
say I eat, slept, breathed all things having to do with filmmaking and acting, that is all I did. And that was the first time I lived here in LA. I came here,
Mm.
I did the program, and I was so burned out by the time I left. It
Really?
was insane. I was,
So what would
what? Go ahead.
go on? Sorry.
Well, okay. So I was in class some days from 9 a.m. till 10 p.m. That was just class. That was not rehearsals. That was not homework. That was not filming. That was not anything. That was just going to classes.
So what exactly is going on in class? Are you
So it
guys
depends on, so that's what, yes,
rehearsing a certain thing,
yes.
or we're like, okay, we are gonna go over body
It
technique
depended on
or
the class, right? So this is where I will
okay.
say for you specifically, you were looking for movement, voice, all those different types of classes. That's maybe where a college or university may come in handy, because they have an entire dedicated program to rounding you
Mhm.
out as a whole actor. So for my master's program, we took Shakespeare, we took improv, we took voice, we took movement, we took voiceover, we took business of acting, which was one of my favorite classes. And then we had electives where I could do stunt work. I could do I one of my elective classes was entertainment law. In like, so you had structured programs to make sure
Mhm.
that overall, over you were fully rounded out, right, as an actor, or at least that's what they were supposed to do, because we were
Oh.
also supposed to learn, and I won't go specifically into my school because I know this is a problem with a lot of programs. You are told you're going to be learning something. You are told, these are the classes and this is what you're going to learn in those classes, and then that's not what's taught, either because you ran out of time or because it just wasn't structured well enough to be taught.
Mhm.
Talk specifically, I can't say anything negative about my I would lucked out in my master's program. I had very, very, very good teachers in those classes. And I think because I was in a master's program and I auditioned for my program, or at least I was told I was auditioning for my program. I was not auditioning for my program. I was auditioning to get a grant for my program.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
So, and then what they did is they split us into, so we had an A section and a B section in the program.
so you knew that you weren't. So you thought that you had a scholarship or a grant for the program, but you had to audition for it.
No, not even. The way that they said, so when I was living in Chicago, which is where I grew up, right? I had known about this school for forever. I had always
Mhm.
wanted to go to this school, but it was not accredited when I was younger. So graduating high school, they were not accredited, and my parents were like, "We're not paying that much money for you to go to school and not get a degree." So
Right.
I ended up going to different schools, and then I ended up graduating with my undergrad from Columbia in Chicago.
Got
And
it.
so I was so burned out of school by the time I graduated Columbia. I was like done. I had no desire to go back to school for anything. And then I found out that this school that I went to for my master's program got accredited, and all that stuff came up again, and I was like, oh my god. And then that was also like a small bit, my dad and I don't disagree on a lot, but I was so done with school and he was so determined I was going to get a master's. I was like, no. That was like our one source of contention. And so I started getting advertisements for the school about their
Okay.
master's program, and they had auditions that came to Chicago. And the way that it was structured, the way that they were saying these auditions, it was that you were auditioning to get into the school and into the acting program.
Okay.
So I go to my audition. I did not tell my dad. I didn't tell anybody. I was supposed to be going to work. I took the day off work. I went into the city. I went to my audition. I did my audition because I didn't want to hear anything about anybody's master's program if I didn't get into the school, because this was literally the only way I was doing it, is
Mm-hmm.
if I got into this school. So I go, I do my audition. A few weeks later, I get like an entire packet saying, "Welcome to the school," blah, blah, blah,
Hey.
blah, blah. And it's got like, this is how much money we're giving you in scholarships and grants. This is how much
Okay.
you'll owe. This is when your term starts. All the acceptance letter things.
Yeah.
I get to the program and we had like welcome dinners and everything and all of this stuff. And like here's your list of classes. We get into classes and I find out that only a couple of people actually auditioned, and those auditions were for a grant. So it didn't matter. You didn't have to audition to get into the program.
Oh, so they
And
were
so I
just
was like,
accepting
and
everybody.
they were accepting, and I don't even know if they were accepting everyone because we had very small classes. And I know a
Okay.
number of people actually did apply. So I'm sure it had to do with, your GPA and all this stuff and whatever. But no, you didn't audition to get into the program. What you did audition for was what section of the program you were going to be in. So we had an A
Oh.
section and a B section. And then after the first semester, well, it was technically, so there were obviously two
So a
semesters
varsity
per
team and
year,
a JV team.
I guess. But I also don't understand how they split us up, because we like I said, there was an A section and a B section. We were told at the end of the first half of the program, we would have to audition again. And then you would be split into A section and B section. And when we auditioned again, we were all expecting to get, like, we had gotten really close because we were a very small class. We had gotten very close and we were all really sad because we were about to be split up. And we auditioned
Mm.
again and we were in the exact same sections. And
Interesting.
it didn't make sense because there were people in our section. Well, there were people in, so like we were in A section and then there was B section. They didn't ever explain how we were separated. They didn't explain what made for what. But it seemed like there were skill levels across the board in
But it
both
didn't seem
sections.
like but it didn't seem like that was like really kind of relevant if they didn't really officially
Right.
split anybody up, right?
And they didn't
But
split us up the second
mm,
year, part of the 2 years either.
so it just seemed like it
So,
was kind of a ruse. But it's
yeah.
but I guess my thing is like so I'm curious to learn more about like the different, so going back to how you say you got movement classes, you got vocal training, you got all those things. I know the one thing that I don't want to do is I don't want to go and learn, and I get you got to learn about the history of some things first, but I don't want to go back and be like, all right, what was back in 1833 the founding da 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 da. Like
And I mean,
I've done theater history before in undergrad and all that stuff. So like I want to do practical application of stuff where
so
I'm
that's
learning.
entirely going to depend on whatever school you go to. We
Mm,
did, and this is why I say, as much contention as I have for some of the things that happened at my school, they
mm,
are very hands on practical learning in a lot of aspects. So, like, we had workshops and we had screenings. We were also fully filming like shorts and different things in our classes
yeah.
because it was a filmmaking class, or it was a filmmaking degree, right? But I think it fully depends on what program you go into. So, like at my specific school, I would not suggest you go and get an acting degree. I think if you want to learn more things and you want some, and I can't speak on it now because I haven't been in that school for
Yeah.
years. But when I was
I,
there, I would suggest you go get a filmmaking degree, not an acting for film degree, because it seems like they took more care. And again, I'm not talking about the teachers. I'm talking about the departments. It seems like the filmmaking department cared more about teaching their students filmmaking than the acting department did.
So yeah, but that's where
Mm-hmm.
I go. Obviously, being an actor and a producer, yeah, filmmaking. Yes, I feel like there's still nuances to stuff that
Mm-hmm.
I need to learn.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I can grasp pretty things pretty quickly, but to me, applying that to real world experience, like you said, I think you can learn on the job and all these different things. But for actual acting though, I just want to practice more. And I get, yeah, you could do that yourself. But to me, it's just like the different techniques, learning Meisner, learning all those different types of things, just to kind of see, all right, what works for me to
Mm-hmm.
be a good actor and all these things. And my battery is about to die on my computer. I need to plug in real quick. I'm
Let
back,
there be
baby.
power.
Got juice. All right.
Yeah.
But what was I saying?
You were saying technique
Um,
classes are things like so you can learn what different techniques you vibe with.
yeah, it's just something about that. You know, I kind of feel like I apply everything to kind of like a different sports, right? Learning from different coaches, different all these different things that I like to take away, and then I can apply. I apply that to my playing style. It's the same thing that I want to kind of approach with acting. Of like, cool, learning these different coaches, different teachers, and I get yes, most of the teachers, at least here that I've done so far, that's the only issue that I have is more or less there's no outside of doing scene work, I feel like there's no real application to certain things of like,
And
all
that's
right, let's try to do this, let's try that. Um, and again, you go once a week, you're going to probably spend maybe like 2.5, 3 hours in a class, maybe with 15 to 16 people. So it's going to be a quick thing, but that's where I feel like I crave to, even if it's not a full program, maybe like a summer intensive of just kind of immersing myself into something just to feel like I've learned a little bit more. Like, because my favorite saying is, you don't know what you don't know.
mm-hmm.
So I know theater and film are two different mediums, but I do enjoy a lot of the exercises, a lot of the different things that I feel like you learn in theater that a lot of film actors just kind of don't even bother with.
From what you're explaining, and again, I don't. From what you're explaining, I feel like you would be a person who could benefit from going to get a degree.
Hmm.
But
But
that being said, oh, I have the hiccups. Oh no.
oh no,
I think it just
put your hands in the
it's
air.
all it's all going to depend on more so what do you want to spend your money on?
Mm.
Because everything you're saying, you could go take a workshop. You could just go take multiple Stanislavski, Meisner
Yes, you're right.
classes. So
You're
it
right.
is literally how do you want your learning to be structured?
I guess the thing is like find it just
It's
takes
finding
more
them.
effort and time to find out those specific nuances, right? Because yeah, I'm in two different classes now. Of like, all right, well now I'm gonna go take a dance class on this date, or I'm gonna go take a vocal class on this date. I'm gonna go take a movement class on this date. And to me, hopefully that would all encompass into a better actor. But like you said, for filmmaking too, I have obviously that interests me too, learning more behind. But the one thing with filmmaking to me, I feel like I've done a lot of obviously working in pro sports, a lot of live production and a lot of live real world application of business and all this other stuff. I feel like I have a good grasp. I'm just now learning just the nuances or how to get to certain things. Obviously, that's going to be benefit of connections and all this other stuff later. But not saying that if I go to school for filmmaking, I wouldn't learn anything, but I feel more comfortable, if that makes sense.
I am a very practical learner. I've never been good at learning things in like books or
Mm.
having someone like I love museums. I love tactile things. I like to be able to
Hmm.
touch, feel, do. That's how I learn. That's how I've always learned. So being in immersive programs and hands-on programs help me.
Mm.
Um being on set, being on stage helps me. I'm a pretty good student. I always have been. Uh,
You didn't seem too sure about that.
but well, but there, but I know, but the classes I didn't do well in, like, I mean, I graduated with honors. Like, I was a good student, but the classes I didn't do well in were the classes where they literally sat me in front of a book and they were like, "Okay, learn."
Oh,
And I mean, that
learn.
was theater classes and everything. Like, we had a
That
theater,
was my whole London learning
yeah.
experience.
And I'm like, I don't learn like that. I've never been good. I'm not a good test taker, anything
Mm.
like that. I've
But
never been good at that stuff.
But you know, it's
So,
interesting going back to what you were just saying about being a practical learner. It is because I feel like this is, I feel like just like any industrial job in a sense, where you didn't necessarily have to go to college. You could do a trade school, whatever. That's what I feel like sometimes acting and filmmaking could be. You don't necessarily have to go to college, but
no, you don't.
you get the base skills and then you're going to learn on the job. Because I feel like if you go immerse yourself to be a PA,
Hmm.
you can work your way into whatever you're trying to learn and just learn from there and grow
Yeah,
and all that stuff, especially gaffing,
yeah.
camera department, all these different things. Like, yeah, once you get into the bigger business stuff, yeah, that's going to be more. All right, you got to know business, you got to know this, you got to know that. But for the practical application of going out there and just shooting, I feel like there's a lot of more people that can just learn it. I don't want to say on the fly, but on the
I
job.
think it all comes down to what type of student are you?
Mm,
Because if you are not disciplined enough, and a lot of people are not starting out in this industry because they don't understand and they don't know better,
mm,
are not
mm-hmm,
disciplined enough to go out and hit the ground running. And you
mm,
have to be, if you're going to learn in this industry, you have to hit the ground running. And if you
that's
are
fair.
not disciplined enough to do that from the beginning, then a school structure may be what's best for you because you do
Mm,
have that cushion because it's not real life. You're not in a
yeah,
real life.
yeah,
They can
yeah.
simulate a real life scenario, which is my program was very good at doing that. They simulated real life sets, and this is where I will give credit to my teachers. They were like, "We're not going to let you fail. This is what it's going to be like on a set. When you have to be somewhere, you have to be somewhere. If you are late, you are late. If you don't show up, like, it is, this is how it is." And then we did have the days where we were working
Was it?
12 to
Did
hours
they?
a day.
Did they kind of coach you along, or was it kind of
I
like
mean,
at
yes,
some point they like, hey, here you go. Now
but they
this is the
did.
production I've taught you. And then to me, I like this type of challenge for me
Hmm.
personally, where all right, we've learned what we need to learn. Now go apply it. Now we're gonna throw some wrenches in it and see how you can
And that's
maneuver and
not
think
a
your way out of
school structure. So that's where
it.
you being in the real world versus in school, because that's not their
Mm-hmm.
job. Their job is not to throw wrenches at you. Their job is to be like, this is what a set is going to be.
Why
This
not?
is what stage is going to be. These are the practical skills you need to go out there and do the job. It is not
Agree.
their job. They're not getting paid, and school is for profit. It is what it is. They are not getting paid. You are, if you are lucky enough to have teachers that care, great. I love that. That is amazing. But schools, colleges, and universities are
I
for
disagree with that.
profit. I lived it.
I mean, yes, I agree with that. I
Yeah.
agree with yes, they're for profit, but I disagree with the whole notion. I mean, just like in sports, right? Yes, you're gonna go over the plays so you can do your job the best of its ability, but you have to throw certain things at people as scenarios of like, all right, this is something that can happen, and now how do you get to an end goal? To me, if that's not happening, that's a disservice to the
I
students,
don't
in my
disagree
opinion.
with you. I don't disagree with you at all. I think you should have, and And you know when I learned that stuff? When I got thrown into shooting my thesis film. You know when
Mm,
everything went wrong? When the
mm,
teachers stepped back and we didn't have instructors and teachers on set with us when we are throwing together entire films. And this is why I think
mm.
we had a disservice as actors because they didn't. They kept, we would ask the questions. We had thesis meetings. We had like all of these meetings leading up to it. We had an entire thesis class. We would ask questions from the time the program started until it got to the end of our 2 year program, again, 15 months, but 2 year program,
Yeah.
where we were asking questions like, what do we do in these scenarios? What do we do? We are actors. We are not filmmakers. We don't know this stuff. And they'd be like, don't worry about it. You're going to learn it in your thesis class. Don't worry about it. And then we got to our thesis class and they were like, here you go. Take everything you learned from the last 14 months and apply it. And it was like, we learned how to act, but we're in an acting class for master's program students. We already knew how to act. Yes, you taught us different things.
But that see
And
that
that's so, yes, it is a disservice. I don't disagree with you. It is a disservice because then they
that-
threw us to make a film and we didn't know what we were doing.
but to me, right there, what you just said though, like to me, that at least most of the programs that I research, where it's not like, okay, I'm going to school, I'm joining the acting program. Now I'm not trying to become the filmmaker, I'm trying to become the actor. So usually, most programs that I've seen, I could be off here, but cool. The directing part of it, like if they're going in to be directors, if they're going in to be production, whatever, then you pair them up with the different people. All right, now you have the director who's now casting. Now for the actors, you get to audition for whatever project, then you get to be cast. That's what I would think it would go. So then to me as an actor, if I know I'm coming to the acting program, I shouldn't be having to figure out all the other stuff. But anyway,
And
that's just
they, and
looks like you got a little party hat on, by the way.
oh, that's my lamp.
Oh,
Mm.
party
Um,
favor.
and they did. We
Hmm.
had the acting program and they paired us up with the filmmakers. Literally at the beginning of every semester, we had to audition for the filmmakers.
Hmm.
So that the filmmakers could get to know the actors for their films. But then to graduate, we had to produce, write, and act in a film.
That doesn't even make sense if you haven't been doing all those things. Like it just seems like
And they didn't
you
teach us
would
that.
put
And you
together a
know,
portfolio of things that you've been in,
you would
or
think that's
if
what
they're
you would do.
challenging you to write something as a one person show or something, that's a
But that's
different
what I
thing.
liked about this program. What I thought I was going to like about this program is that it was not in my I grew up in theater. I have an
Mm,
undergrad degree in theater. I was sick of taking
theater.
just acting classes. The entire point of this program, or what I thought it was I was going to learn acting for filmmaking.
Mm,
That is how they advertised the program. That is how they structured the program, or what they told us the structure of the program was going to be. And then you get into the program and you're immersed in it and you live it and you breathe it and it is all you do.
breathe
And then
it.
you get to the end of the program and you're like,
Live it.
this is not what I came here. One of the girls in our program literally, because there are multiple schools of this school, and I'm not going to name the school because I'm not trying to get sued. There are multiple schools. Um, but the LA
We don't
chapter of
need
the
a
school,
defamation suit.
no. And the LA chapter of the school is the only one that at the time that I graduated was accredited, which means if you went to the program in New York, you had to finish the program in LA. And one of the girls in our class started her program in New York, came to graduate in LA, and the LA program didn't have her degree. So she had to switch her degree midway through the program just to graduate. Did they tell her
Sounds
that when she started?
peachy.
No, it sounds like a lawsuit to me because if I paid as much money as we paid to go to that school and I didn't get the degree I started in that I was promised I would get,
Tell me what grinds your gears, Phoebe. Please tell me.
anyway.
You're really going in on these
Because
people.
I'm the amount of money that you spend to go to school, and this is why I can't tell you yes or no. I
Phoebe's
learned
against
some
going to
very,
school,
very
guys.
no, I'm not.
She's
No, I'm
against
not.
people
Don't even
learning.
put that out on the internet. I am not against going
She
to school
hates
because
education.
I will tell you, I learned a lot of things from both of my programs. I learned a lot of things from both of my programs. I met amazing, beautiful human beings in both of my programs who are so talented, who I'm very lucky to still be friends with some of them from both of the programs, both of the schools that I went to.
Both of
The way that my brain is structured, being in and I came out with a
and
reel because of the connections I made, not necessarily because of the school, but because of the connections I made at that school. I came out with a reel. That reel got me an agent. I came out with my first professional headshots because of one of my teachers suggesting a headshot photographer out here, who then, because he suggested us, I got a significant discount for my first, not my first set of professional headshots, but like as an adult, my first set of adult professional headshots. So I was able to afford my headshots, which got me an agent, which got me working. I got my first real acting job out here. It had nothing to do with school, but it had to do with a connection I made at school.
so there you go.
So I
All
can't tell you
connected
not to
together.
go to school. I can't
You
tell you
just
that.
did. You just told everybody not to go to
No, I
school. You
didn't.
hated
And you're
school.
not listening. What I can tell you,
She said she hated school, y'all.
why? What I can tell you is if you are going to go to school, be prepared to be in debt or save up to go. I'm not, that's not a lie. That is what school is nowadays. You can't afford to go to school unless you have saved your entire life. Somebody is very, very, very generous, or you have gotten scholarships and grants to pay for it, or you're willing to take out a loan. That is the only way.
Or what if they're just wealthy? What if people just have money?
Well, if you have money, then this conversation is not for you. If you have money, you have options that a lot of people don't have. But
Oh my
it's
goodness.
all going to come down to what do you want to spend your money on, because no matter what you do, you're going to spend money on it. You're going to spend money on your education, and it's either going to be in the fact that, because even if you go to like a if you just go into the world of filmmaking and you learn on the fly and you learn on this, that, or the other, who's to, with actors in any type of program, in any type of class, in any type of whatever, you're going to get people who are going to be able to tell you where to go, what type of headshots to go, how to structure a resume. And you can learn all of that. But how much money are you going to spend doing it wrong before you learn it?
Hmm. I mean, yeah, that is the good question, and that is the the issue here that I feel sometimes in Houston, where like there are a lot of young actors or just filmmakers in general that doesn't understand the business of everything, and
Yeah,
there's so many little things like that of having your headshots, having your demo reels, having these things. Where do you get it? I don't know, but that is definitely one of those things. I know one thing I was talking to somebody about, and they were just talking about like we talked about, it's like, oh, demo reels, this and da da da. It was like, what's a demo reel? And I'm like, how do you not know what a demo reel is? So there is a severe lack of education, and I do. It is that it's hard to say I want to just blame coaches and teachers, because like, yeah, if I'm coming to act, I want to learn how to act, but then at the same time, you got to go out there and learn the business of acting, or
yeah.
the business of the industry in general, whether it's filmmaking or producing, directing, acting, whatever that may be. So there's a little bit of personal growth and responsibility that you have to do.
I will say, if you are going to be in this industry, I don't care if you're in a acting program or if you are taking classes outside of a college or university setting, find a way to get yourself on a real set. Or if you're doing theater, go to a theater, because that is, and again, this is where I go back and forth. And you're not going to know, unfortunately, till you're in the program or till you've talked to enough people in whatever program you choose to go to.
Yeah.
But specifically with our school, they didn't care. if you had an audition, if you ended up on set, if you missed 3 classes, you were out of the program.
I mean, but that's most programs, though. I mean,
I know, but that's what
that's
I'm
the
saying.
whole goal is for them.
So
Yeah.
for them to, yeah. And I understand that. And I understand too, because we are in a very collaborative industry, that when you miss class, when you do that, it affects other people.
Mhm.
I fully understand that. But at the same time, if you are spending that much money, you have to remember what you're going there for.
Yeah.
And if it's affecting your idea, if you're working
Well,
and you're
but
getting
I will
auditions
say
and it's
most of these
affecting
classes,
that,
most of these programs do say if you do join these programs, you cannot be a working actor because
I
they
know.
will like you just said, they are going to dock you if you miss X amount of classes.
And I say, if you are auditioning regularly or if you have an opportunity, take the opportunity. I understand, and this is just my personal opinion, the amount of money you spend on school to become an actor, if you get the opportunity to be an actor or a filmmaker, take it. That's literally what you're going to school. I will never say don't go back to the classes. I will never say, I don't care how good you get as an actor, to stop taking classes, because I think you always need to be in a class learning and exercising your body, your technique, all of that. You need to be in somebody's class practicing your craft. But if you get an opportunity and it comes down to that opportunity or whether or not you're going to finish out a degree, take the opportunity.
And there you have it, folks. Take the opportunity. We would love to hear from you guys. Love to hear in the comments. Please like, subscribe to Phoebe Ray Day to Day, the YouTube channel here. But please let us know, what do you think about going to school for acting or for filmmaking in general? Or if you have gone to school or if you haven't gone to school, what do you think about it? What are the pros? What are the cons? Please, we'd love to hear back from you. This is our episode for today for Real Shenanigans. Phoebe, tell the folks where they can find you.
Well, apparently it's been at the bottom of the screen this whole
Oh,
time.
Phoebe
That's
Ray
not at all distracting.
22.
So if you're on Instagram, you want my personal page, you can find me at nope, not at Instagram.
No.
Well, on Instagram.
You selling pics? You selling feet pics? What's happening?
Look, these prices out here today. Have to get on Wiki Feet real quick. You can find me on Instagram at Phoebe Ray 22, or if you're looking for my acting page, you can find me at __ Phoebe Ray __.
Hashtag. And you can find me at GWade05, or you can find me at Banjo Beaver Productions. We have a lot of fun projects coming up, so please stay tuned. Give us a like, give us a follow, give us a share, all those things. And like I said, please leave your comments, anything that you want to know about acting. If you have any comments about if you should go to school or not, hey, Phoebe and I can give you our opinions, but it is ultimately up to you. This has been our show. Thank you guys. Please like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.
Bye.